Time being 9 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands. Everyone got a copy of the agenda? I understand there's one addition, Allison?
Yep, there's one addition for the consent agenda, and that is consider approving an exempt permit for Minnesota lawful gambling application LG 220 for Caledonia Girls Court Club Inc. for gambling raffle activities to be conducted at Maycal Grove Country Club in Caledonia Township, with a drawing to be held on October 25th, 2024, with no waiting period.
It's the Caledonia Girls. What was the part of that?
Girl Scout Club,
Girl Scout.
or Girl Court Club, sorry,
Okay,
Girl Court Club.
okay,
It's volleyball.
okay.
Basketball too, okay.
All the stuff I send. Yeah,
Motion to add that to the
So
action
moved.
item number 13.
so move.
It'll be, she requested on consent agenda, so it'll be number 4.
Number 4, consent.
Okay. I'll make a motion for, put it at 4 on the consent agenda.
Motion made by.
Second.
Second by Dewey. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The agenda, I move to approve the agenda as amended then.
Dewey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. And we had the board meeting minutes from July 23rd distributed. Thanks to look those all over. Any additions or corrections?
So move.
Motion by Greg,
Second.
second by Dewey. Further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. We'll move this to public comment. When the audience have a public comment today.
On the street.
Anybody on the screen? No? Hearing none. Move on to appointments. See any listed on the agenda?
We have,
Right, review.
Holly, yeah.
Yes, good morning, commissioners. If I could go over the investment breakdown. The last time we reviewed it was as of 12/31/24. So I'd like to point out a couple different line items here for the changes. In yellow on the left, the total investments showing 6,888,123.49. That number is up 497,000 since December 31st. So that's kind of a nice bump. The second thing I'd like to point out, above that in the light blue number, total liquid, you'll see above that an ICS account at Merchants for 500,000 is now added into the liquid portion. That was an account, to my understanding, it was originally set up for ARPA funds to keep them separate. As those funds were used up, the balance depleted, but money was added to it at one point to just round it up and have a little extra cash reserve if needed. It was found that it doesn't necessarily have to be sitting in that type of account. So in the month of August now, that will be rolled over into some investment broker CDs. So we'll have two more line items added next time down in the 4 to 5 year area. So the third area to point out is in the pink, the 1 to 3 year area. The first three CDs listed there have all matured since June 30th. They do show the amounts and the rates. The good news is we were able to add to all three of those with a grand total of 413,000 added to what you see. And they were reinvested at higher rates for the next term of those CDs. So that part alone, again, is looking pretty good. Rates are dropping at this point. They're starting to the long-term rates. So time will tell as the other ones come up, but at this point, as of June 30th, this is where we stand. Does anybody have any questions on these numbers?
The, those in pink, those are 719, 730, 731 of 24. Is that the ones you're referring to?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They've just recently matured.
And then the one on August 13th will be part of that 400 some thousand.
Nope. Nope, we haven't even gotten to that yet, so we'll see what rates are at and if we can add to that and kind of keep going that way.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay, thank you.
Move on to the consent agenda. Number one is to initiate a comprehensive search for probationary 1.0 environmental services technical clerk. Professor's office.
There's been, there was a clerk there, there's not now, so looking at getting maybe that filled. To get them. At this point, we'll approve it, as we're looking for, possible restructuring or moving things around, it may change the job description. Where it's actually located. But for now. It can be approved.
Have we done any searching yet? I thought we were gonna start 2 weeks ago on a tech. Did that not happen?
That's-
Okay.
that is a process.
And the hiring of the other two there for highway department and then for the social worker and for the gambling, those are other three things on the consent. With the information provided, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Dewey, is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Action items. Number one is to consider selecting 2 members of the county board to be appointed for the county canvassing board for the state primary election held on August 13th this year.
Okay,
Is that, Polly, are we canvassing the same day as the election or is it that? It'll be a
Nope.
couple days.
it'll be after that. It'll be August 15th.
August.
Yep. So as far as getting this, the board members approved, Minnesota statute does say the county canvassing board consists of the county auditor, the county or the court administrator of the district court, the mayor or chair of the township board of the county's most populous municipality, and 2 members of the county board selected by the board from its members who are not candidates at the election. So therefore, we're just kind of bringing it back to you guys to make that selection. We do have a recommendation of Eric and Bob Schultz for the simple fact Greg is on the ballot and Dewey and Bob's districts will be on the ballot as well. So again, our recommendation would be Eric and Bob Schultz.
Is the date the 13th?
The election,
Election,
Election's 13th, but the canvas be the 15th.
correct, yep.
So you need a motion to have Bob and Eric.
Yep, please.
I'll make a motion to put Bob Schultz and Eric Johnson on the canvassing board. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further
That picture schedule.
Yeah. Can't speak for the other, but.
Price you pay for not being here.
I will send invitations out today yet for that, so. So hopefully he'll see it.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Number 2, consider approving the stipulation between MAPE and LELS for the chief deputy position unit. Representation to be LELS. It's from Tessa's office too.
it was just. determined
And you want to come up?
Can you come up to the speaker and camera, please?
Oh, good, she says.
To be online.
Not yet, not yet.
So it was determined that it would be more appropriate for Chief Deputy Hargrove to be in the LELS unit as opposed to the MAPE unit. So I guess they've been working on an agreement to make that happen. That's basically all I know.
An agreement between the two unions to. No, otherwise we got a union of one person type thing this way here.
Yeah, and whatever one he fits into is where he's gonna go. All that's.
From what I understand, you know, throughout the state, more employees in this position are members of LELS as opposed to MAPE.
Sure. LELS makes more sense from the job descriptions and everybody that he's working with.
Correct.
But the unions are okay with it. It doesn't change his status as far as pay scale and.
Doesn't
banding
change
and
anything.
whatnot, everything is the same.
Correct.
I'll make a motion to approve the stipulation between MAPE and LES for the chief deputy position. Represented by LELS.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Greg. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Carried. Number
Thanks.
3, consider approving a conditional use permit for Dale and Sally Menson and Scott and Tina Barsh to place a dwelling on less than 40 acres in Houston Township.
Morning.
Morning.
So Scott and Tina Barsh came in to the planning commission meeting a couple weeks ago to ask for a conditional use permit to do a non-farm dwelling. They met all the standards and will be purchasing about 5 acres from her parents in order to build there. And so there were no concerns brought forward at that time. And I believe the township had already reviewed the driveway location and and approved that. So just the standard conditions were put on that permit or were recommended by the planning commission be put on that permit.
No, it all went good. Everything was in place like it was supposed to be. So I'll make a motion to approve it. I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
Good thing.
Number 4, Consider approving a conditional use permit for Tyler Lance to place a dwelling on less than 40 acres in Spring Grove Township.
So another non-farm dwelling, but a similar situation in which Tyler is looking to purchase, this time about a 13-acre chunk from his uncle Gerald. And this location actually was a homestead at one point in time. It sounds like the dwelling had been gone a number of years. But he's looking to, or he's a little bit constricted in that one, in that he has floodplain from the valley that's running down from underpass quarry. And then there is a quarter line right there as well that he needs to stay south of. But other than that, he already had septic work done and has had the surveyor draft property lines already. So we have reviewed that there will not be any noncompliance started with that property split. And so again, this one, the planning commission recommended approval with those two same standard conditions.
No issue with proximity to the quarry.
No, he didn't meet that setback requirement.
Make a motion to approve. CUP for Tyler Lance.
I got,
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Not. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Consider approving a conditional use permit for Agadal and is it Monic Builders LLC for Nathan and Jennifer Worm for an accessory building in a residential district in Caledonia Township.
Yes, so the applicants here have purchased a vacant lot that was adjacent to their existing single-family dwelling. And they have combined parcels now, and so they're looking to construct this accessory structure that's going to be part gymnasium or part basketball court, and then also have a rec area. Along with this proposal, because of just the topography, the building is going to be a little it's a tall structure anyway, but just the way it sits on the land, it's gonna end up a little taller than their single family dwelling, and so they did receive a variance for that requirement. But which was that done prior to the hearing? Or that might have been done afterwards. But the other concern that was brought forward then was from the township as far as erosion or stormwater runoff because of the size of the structure. It was kind of discussed at the planning commission, and perhaps Commissioner Myrie can elaborate on that, that they felt this wouldn't really be different than a single family dwelling in that location. And Dave Walter from the Soil and Water District has had a chance to review it since the planning commission hearing, and he didn't see any concerns with the stormwater runoff, and he just commented on the height. So with that, the planning commission did recommend approval of this with the two standard conditions, and then they added a third that the permittee shall complete an erosion control plan, including surface water management.
Doing everything the way he's supposed to. Getting everything like the soil. I mean, there's no street storm curb and gutter out there. There's none of that. So I mean, and they got two empty lots down below. So I think it's gonna work out pretty well. There is no problem right now, and I really don't see a lot of problem with this building either. Because it's on a separate lot.
The separate lot has been combined with the other lot, so it's just one lot.
Yep.
And now I see the Beckman house is across the road from it though.
Yep.
So kitty corner across. Will this have a driveway as well, or is this no driveway? It's just the building gonna be adjacent to the house and go over that? Okay.
I don't see, they got with soil and water, they got that figured out, so I haven't seen any problem. I'll make a motion to approve the CUP for Agadal and Monk Builders and Nathan and Jennifer Worm.
Motion's been made,
I'll second the motion.
seconded by Commissioner Burns. Any further discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioners.
All right, number 6, consider approving resolution number 24-26 final acceptance for CP 2004-04. Contract number 067 with Barner Asphalt Sealers LLP for crack fill repair. Looks like total cost was $57,287.16.
Yeah, so this is our crack fill project, and we did a lot of crack filling on County 26 up in Money Creek Township area. Original contract $57,280, work certified $57,287.16. What we usually do on crack filling is we cut the contractor off when they hit the contract. So they did a good job, worked all complete, so I recommend to approve the final.
Well, Highway 16 from Spring Grove to Iowa, that should be nice now. See what's going on there. They just got that done, didn't they, last week?
23 as well.
23 too, isn't it? Yeah. So are they all done with it now, or we got more to go?
For the seal coat's all done, so for that, they're gonna do a fog seal. I didn't drive across, see if it's got the fog seal done yesterday. If it's not done yesterday, it'll get done today.
Well, with regard to the contract number 067, the seal 57,287.16, and that's within your budget figures?
Yep.
Move to approve.
Second,
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Number 7, consider approving resolution number 24-27, final acceptance of CP 24-01, contract number 064 with the Bruner Rock Products Incorporated for shoulder repair. Total cost was $300,946.32.
Yeah, so this is our annual shouldering project that we hire out, either surfacing of the shouldering for the paved roads or road surfacing. So this year is the shouldering work for the paved roads. So original contract $303,190.22. Work certified $300,946.32. So slightly under the original bid amount.
And this was providing the rock, or they did the shouldering fee?
We kick out in front of their equipment, and then they provide the rock, put that new rock down, and then we pack it in. So we kind of work together as a team.
The joint project.
looks like you came in okay on it, so I move to approve.
Been made by Dewey.
Second.
Seconded by Greg. Any further discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It's carried. All right, number 8, consider approving resolution number 24-28, final acceptance for CP 24-10, contract number 073 with Burner Rock Products for maintenance rock. Total cost was $109,841.99.
Yeah, so once we went through all of our bidding this spring, we had a little bit of extra money that was unspent through or unallocated or within our budget for maintenance projects. So there's a little bit of extra money that the county board approved to put down some maintenance rock on County 5 and 20. So this is that project for that rock. So the original contract, $112,714.61. Work certified $109,841.99. So again, they did a good job. They They provided the rock, hauled it out, dropped it on the roadway, and then we spread the rock out with our own forces. So it's kind of another joint effort.
That was the worst parts of 5 and.
That was the worst parts of 5 and all of the gravel portion
All
of
of 20.
2020.
We did all the 5 too, did John?
I think there's a little section that maybe got skipped over in there. It was the vast majority of it.
Well, I remember when we approved this because of the addition, the funding that was available that hadn't been spent, and we needed the work done on 5 and 20, so I'll make a motion to approve.
All second,
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Not. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Number 9, consider approving service agreement from North Dakota State University through its Upper Great Plains Transportation Institute.
Yeah, so this is a new software that I would like to purchase at our county engineers conference board of directors meeting that took place in June. The Minnesota County Engineers Association Board of Directors recommended to MnDOT State Aid to provide up to $1,000 per county to some type of road software management to help manage your system. So in other words, or in this case, it would be for tracking pavement condition and how stuff changes over time to kind of get a better feel for at what point in the future our different roadways would need to be something done with repair, maintenance, replacement of pavement surfaces. So they recommended to provide $1,000 per county per year. North Dakota uses a geographic roadway inventory tool that was developed in partnership with North Dakota State University. Some counties in Minnesota use the same software, and it has been working out good for them. So the software that's been approved, they will provide $1,000 in reimbursement each year per county that provides software or that hire someone to provide software. This is the software that is recommended by the MCEA Pavement Management Committee. And it is $950 per year for the agreement, and then it'll be fully reimbursed back by the state. So I would recommend approval of this. Currently, what I do is whenever the state drives their pavement management van, we get a huge Excel spreadsheet file, and I import that data next to the prior 2 years data, and I keep building on our system. So I have database all the way back to 2008 in an Excel spreadsheet that I can look at that pavement condition. So it's all opening a spreadsheet, looking at numbers. This kind of automate that a little bit. So make it easier to look at how it changes in the system.
programs $950 and
$950 per year.
We got 1,000.
Getting reimbursed, well, we'll get reimbursed up to $1,000 for the cost of the software, so we'll get reimbursed at $950.
Then you gotta transfer everything that you've got on the spreadsheets onto this.
They will be doing that stuff on their end. Essentially, they will get the data directly from the state. Some of the stuff I will get to them that I have from past data, and they'll get it all into the system. So it's really North Dakota State University would be putting it all in. So
They're gonna charge us for that.
Nope, that is included with the cost of the program, and the state's working on getting everything easy to import into their program. So they're kind of working together. So this is $950 is their complete time. The only real time on our end will be us entering our past project data. So we can put in the pavement section when that pavement was last installed. So that way they know how old that pavement is with the condition to help project stuff in the future.
So the state uses it for their state highways.
State does not use this. The state has a really much more expensive software that's has much higher capabilities. So this is kind of more of a bare bones software, but it's for a smaller county with the system that we have.
And I understand there's no cost to the county, but is this all county roads,
This would be, yes, all of our county roads.
but not the township?
Correct.
And it's paved or gravel?
It'll be paved roads because because gravel roads change every time you blade as far as conditions, so it's just a paved roads. So it's 200 miles worth of roadways, or 192 miles worth of roadways.
I think it's a good idea.
You said something about the state has information that you've already sent in the past and that will also
Yes.
be relayed to this.
Yep, so the state drives, they used to drive all of our paved county roadways every 4 years. Now they drive it every 2 years. They have a bunch of sensors on their van. They have cameras, and they can look at. They're looking at the profile of that roadway, so how many, the ruts in the pavement, they're looking at bumps on the roadway. But the cameras crack, so every crack is on that video, and then they're kind of in their logging system. And it's a pretty intensive program. And then based on that, they give ride quality, pavement quality, structural index. So kind of get a bunch of formulas and a bunch of look at different sections of your roadway. So all that will go into this system, and then it can kind of help project.
So the state stuff plus what you have be incorporated into this one place. Give us a ongoing status.
What's availability? We do, but
It'll
does the
be.
state have information availability?
So the state with their van, they have access to all that data. Now the access to the software, it's whoever we provide access to it. So
We
right,
do control.
yeah, so I control it. So right now it'll be myself, and a lot of the stuff is actually already in the system. They just dump stuff into every county system a long time ago, expecting that a lot of the counties are gonna ultimately hire them or get an agreement in the future. So so I have access to it already, and I gave access to Justin Conway to my system already. Once it's approved, then I'll give other ones more access so we can start entering information.
Sounds like a good way to go, get all information in one spot, so I move to approve.
Motion's been made by Dewey to approve. And second,
I'll second the motion.
seconded by Commissioner Burns. Any further discussion? Not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Carried.
Before you go, I was just kind of curious, what's the status of our work projects going on? There's still a bridge project in 20 something.
Yep, so bridge project on 20, the goal is to have that roadway open up by the end of this week. So we'll see if that happens depending on, weather, and I'm not sure how that rain and everything affected the soils getting put back in there. So, but the goal is to be done on County 20 contractor out the end of this week. Worst case, hopefully into early next week. So, so we had that project, County 13 paving east of Houston.
Yes.
So that's been paved. They started doing some shouldering work. They'll be doing some more shoulders, putting the gravel on the shoulders here these next couple days. Middle of this week, they should be done with that, and that's just getting the pavement markings done. Ideally, that'd be done late this week or early next week to get the pavement markings and be done with that project up there. Kind of asked questions before as far as the seal coating goes. They seal coated County 3 and 16. South of Spring Grove for 16 early last week or in the prior week. They plan on doing fog seal on that seal coating. If they didn't get it done yesterday, they said they're going to try to be in either Monday or Tuesday of this week. I haven't driven across and haven't checked to see they got that done. But but they should have that fog seal on, so everything will be, darker on the surface, that oil. And then they'll get that striped 1 to 2 weeks after the fog seal's on, so within a week or two. We've been shutting down County 2 periodically to replace some culverts. We have message boards up to kind of notify people when that road's gonna be shut down. We're down to just a couple more closures be done on some of the culvert replacements, and there's one cattle pass to be pulled out and moved. So we're getting really close on getting that done.
About the other Iowa side, over there, are we doing that too or not?
We are doing everything within. I think there's,
2 spots? in
I think, 2
Minnesota?
culverts, I think, on the eastern portion of that'll be replaced. That's the 2 that are remaining. And then we will be done with the culvert replacement. When we pave that project next year, Iowa's gonna be paving their section as well. So the goal is to get it all paved at the same time. Unfortunately, with how their funding works and their specs and getting everything lined up, we are not able to use the same specs and to bid it out as one project. So we bid out as 2 separate projects. The goal is to get the contractor in and get it all paved at the same time. So they're doing some work in the Iowa section as well. Yes.
So. We be down. The county road. We're gonna pave to here and then on this corner stop and I was gonna pave from here to there. And then we're gonna pick up and pave from here to there and there's 2 different mixes.
So, yeah, yep. Yeah,
Then we go halfway down the hill and then I was supposed to pick up. from there,
so
right?
yes, so what the ultimate goal is that they can come in there and, one contractor is gonna probably have both projects. They can get everything milled up. They'll need to probably pave either our or Iowa sections first. They'll need to jump their equipment, pave it all with that mix, because they're not gonna stop the plant to change mix at the plant. And then come back and pave the other section in conjunction, but get the plant to come in one time, mobilize, so they don't need to bring a plant in and out for both projects. And hopefully make it more efficient as far as that goes, rather than hauling mix from Winona or something.
So
That-
giant speed bumps, a lot of paper joints. And then go across and then drop off.
Yeah, but yeah, with dealing with our funding and Iowa's funding with house stuff, we're trying to use the same oil. We're trying to use as much similar as we can to make it simple for the contractor.
And take their mix design and our mix design and say, this is the average.
Not if we want to use state money, and when we have $3 million worth of paving, we're not going to use the local money. We can use our.
How many cattle passes are you gonna have to replace any, or are you gonna be able to make them work?
We are pulling out, resetting, reusing existing ones, but we're not buying any new cattle passes. We're just reusing what we have out there.
And I'm sure they're all nice and round cement, so I mean, what's nothing wrong with it, probably push them together, seal them up and good to go.
There's some sections that are getting in bad shape, but there's enough good sections that were
The closures, any of that overnight then, or is it just during the day?
just during the day. So, yep, so we put those message boards up and then we let dispatch know. Most of them are being shut down between 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning, and then they're opened up by 3 o'clock in the afternoon at most of them.
You go before 7 and at about 4:30, you'll be fine.
And come on, you drive, you go right if they're closed to the left, or go left if they're closed to the right. You're not gonna close.
Yeah, we're doing one location, working with the landowners, especially the busier building sites. We're working with those landowners much more closely, so they're fully aware of what we're doing. So
I read some points on 31, people must be using that to go down in the valley and go around. And they said that needs to be bladed. I haven't been out. It was bad after that. And we got 3 inches last night, so I'm sure it's posted today too.
we can take a look at things. We were doing a bunch of blading late last week or middle of last week. So
Sure, that any reason why they call them. because they're driving. When it's closed, they got probably take 31 down into Winnebago and then come back up.
Thanks, Brian.
Depends on where they're going, I guess.
Yep, depends on what their detour is or where they're going.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Airport meeting tomorrow afternoon, 2 o'clock.
Yes. Yep.
Number 10, consider approving the use of ARPA funds for one-time project cost and data conversion for caseworkers documents / case management system for PHSS Social Service Division.
That's a mouthful.
It is. That's
So this is, for a number of years, we've used a program called Traverse, which is host company is Northwoods. It's a critical component to our operation for social workers and both in our social services division as well as our public health division. Been a good partner. Unfortunately, they are making changes to their system that would require us to switch from our Microsoft Surface platform to an iPad platform. That's kind of not real tenable for us, since the whole point of using them years ago was to move to a one device kind of environment. So all of our staff have Microsoft Surfaces. They are mobile, they don't have another computer at their desk, and that's desirable to our IT division or our IT department because it's that many less devices to manage. So we're kind of backed into a corner here where we need to make some decisions, either stay on the Northwoods path and add a lot of additional hardware and a lot of additional support from our IT department, or move to a different platform. So that's what this is. It's a request to move to a different platform. Actually, this is a platform that has really gotten quite a bit of traction in the state of Minnesota. Approximately 50 to 60 counties in the state of Minnesota use this same platform. We use this platform in our economic assistance division. So if you recall, a few years ago, we had to make a quick switch as well when our partnership with Winona County was changing. And we ended up with this provider and the CaseWorks program. So what this is a request for one-time project costs. When we make a change like this, we're not going from paper to digital files. We're needing to change the digital information from the, I don't know, for lack of a better term, kind of the language that's using in the current system to the one it will use in the new, as well as configuring the new system. Those are one-time costs, and they're projected to be about $80,000 for one-time project costs, and then an additional $15,000 to do that data transfer. And so what we're asking for is ARPA funds to be able to cover that. ARPA also covered this same type of cost, those one-time costs, when we made this transition in our economic assistance division. As far as ongoing costs, it has ongoing subscription costs that are essentially equivalent to what we currently have. So it would be a marginal, if any, change to our ongoing budget. But it's the one-time project and data transfer stuff that we are coming forward to ask for ARPA dollars to cover that. This need to have this addressed is probably early 2025. We will end up not being operational at some point, probably in the first quarter to the first half of 2025 with our current platform. So
Is that allocated in here? That would be.
That's what I think.
Right.
So if the full $95,000 was allocated from the ARPA fund, typically a balance of $75,898. Yes, I would probably maybe suggest if Human Services Fund could actually pick up the 15,000 for the conversion in their fund.
I guess I was just looking ahead to the next item here with the caseworks. For 58 now, is that a separate, that's a separate thing, but.
That's a separate
are they
thing, and-
Tied together or they fall?
They're the same company, but we're not gonna be asking for ARPA for that. We have a different pay source for that.
You do,
So we'll talk about that in a second, but
okay. I'll
you
go
don't
back.
need to look at that as, okay, I'm gonna come back and ask for more ARPA with that next item. We're not.
This is the kind of thing that you don't get any percentage of recovery from the state or anything like that.
We would get some kind of recovery from the state if we didn't use ARPA. So if in fact we do the data transfer, we'd get some reimbursement, probably for social services. That's in the neighborhood of 15% right now. But if we use ARPA, that's a federal fund source, and so we can't double dip, pay for it with ARPA and then also get reimbursed.
But it sounds like switching over to caseworks will save us the expense of individual computer work and iPads, things like that. We
Yeah, and-
utilize existing
Correct.
equipment.
Correct.
So there'd be no equipment costs.
Well, if we stay with Northwoods Traverse, we'd need to get iPads, plus we'd still need to keep the surfaces because that's what we need to access state systems. So the beauty of the program and why we went that direction was it allowed us to have one device and not have multiple devices that our staff need to maintain, but also that IT doesn't need to maintain. So going in this direction with Caseworks would allow us to continue that. We can stay in that environment with Microsoft Surface and not have to buy any more hardware.
One piece of equipment.
And that's stuff that we've had on a kind of a replacement schedule for a number of years. Each year, after a certain number of years of service, we'll cycle out older machines and bring new ones in. That's just part of our annual budget for technology replacement.
Any grants or anything out there that you can have to help out on this?
Not that I'm aware of. We have negotiated with Caseworks and they're giving us a 30% discount on the one-time project fees.
How long have you been with the current provider, the Northwest?
Since I think 2017. It was kind of a surprise. I did not know that they were making this switch. I knew that it's interesting because when I first started, previous director who worked here, Beth Wilms, was working as a director in Winona County. And I went up there to visit with her and she showed me this project that they were doing with Northwoods, but it was based in Apples and Apple iPads. And it was interesting. It was something that we were interested in, but I asked them, you know, do you do this in a PC environment or in a, you know, where we could use Surfaces? And they said, no. I said, well, if you ever do, let us know. So several months later, they called and said, would you be interested in working with us to pilot that? Which we did. We ended up getting very great discounts, paid very little for that project because we were a build partner. And it's been a good partnership. Unfortunately, their upgrades and where they're going is more to an Apple iPad environment that doesn't allow them to continue to support the Microsoft Surface environment.
What's the timeline consideration? I mean, how long before you have to commit to this outfit?
Well, if we are going to capture ARPA dollars, we need to get that spent, as I understand it, by the end of 24. So in talking
That's
with
not
the
the question. How long before this company withdraws their 30% discount? When do we have to make it?
The numbers reflect a 30% discount.
And that's good for another month?
I haven't asked.
I guess the question is what other ARPA issues do we have besides this? This is a new one compared to things we've talked about, vehicles and what have you. And how long is this one gonna be good? Another 6, 7 years, and then they're gonna wanna change to something else?
You know, it's hard to predict technology.
Yeah.
I wish we could. I would say there's probably more stability with this. Since so much of the state is on the same platform, for them to make a change, it would impact, 2/3, 3/4 of the state. And it's also an advantage for us to go that direction. It's also consistent with the system we already have in economic assistance. So frequently, we're looking at eligibility things that open up funding sources for services we provide. Being on the same platform offers efficiencies in that.
So this $80,000 figure reflects the 30% discount.
Correct.
And I see on the final line of your request there, you'll be coming back with a final contract when we get that in together.
Correct. So I guess I'm doing it in a two-step dance here. First requesting the use of ARPA dollars, assuming that that's approved, then I'll work with the vendor, come back with a contract for final approval.
And
So we're working off estimates right now, but I believe that they would be pretty close.
nothing else has come up lately as far as requests from other departments.
Not necessarily. I'll be having a discussion with you after discussion time on possible uses as we look down the road for the county. Things that we're gonna need to cover here. in the Very sure.
Yes.
So probably we need to do some contracting for some services that we don't have people
Should be nice.
here doing.
No.
So
Spend it.
And remind me of the timeline. You need to commit by a certain date, have it expended by a certain date.
it used to be bid by 2024, spend by 2026, but they narrowed that window and it would actually just make sense for us to get our money spent by the end of the year. So we're
Is the 100,000? Talking different dollars, does that get the same timeframes?
the local assistance and tribal consistency fund.
Yeah,
I
that
wrote it down, but that helped.
So John, if we put this off until after next week's work group session to decide what we're gonna do at the next meeting, is that too long a time?
No, I don't think that would, I think that's why you were asking how long is the quote good? I don't have a sense, she hasn't given me any kind of sense that we've got a timeline. Obviously, if we drag it on for months and months, that has a tendency to
Right.
change.
We can find some grants out there.
Can we get a contract? You'll come back for final approval. Can we get solid numbers?
Yeah, I think these are pretty solid. When I've worked with them in the past, they give us these estimates. And those are pretty much the numbers that they use in their contract. I can certainly have them work up a contract and come back at your next, be the 20th with a contract. But I don't have a pay source for it. And it's kind of a crisis, the beginning of 2025. It's a central system to how we operate in managing documents and doing case management and different workflows. It's been kind of central to how we do our work for a good number of years.
Then we can have an idea on the other remaining balance, how to be spent.
Well, I
Possibly
think
at the next work group.
that
I'm
would do
making a
that.
motion to table it till next work group. Then, okay?
Well, let's table it till the next regular meeting and discuss it at the work group.
That would be fine.
Okay with that, John, if we just table it until,
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
don't think that will jeopardize the estimate that they've given us.
Okay.
Would you like me to get a contract put together so that you have a final number? So on the 20th,
it'd be nice to know. the
I
final
think so.
number.
okay, I'll work with them and I may have something like that for your discussion then on the 13th for the work group as well.
Okay,
Okay.
Perfect.
Second one is a similar product for our accounting division. that we are recommending use of one-time DHS grant dollars, which were intended for the MA unwind. Our Economic Assistance Division obviously works very closely with accounting, so this is an allowable use of that grant. The one-time costs in this case are $58,000, and the grant can cover that, so there's no county outlay for that. There is an annual cost that isn't currently in our budget, but it's a small group of people who do that work, so that's projected right now about $11,000. That would be like a software support that you customarily see with different accounting programs. This one, there is a little more of a fuse because we get a 20% discount to those prices by jumping on with another county that's starting their discovery and getting ready to do this project starting the end of August this month with a go live of November. So there's also a fuse on the MA unwind dollars, but I don't think that that's 24. I think we can use those dollars into 25. But in order to get the discount to this and reduce the outlay out of that grant, we'd need to act quickly on this one.
There's grant dollars available for this
Correct. For the one-time project cost
one-time project.
of 58,000. So we have grant dollars and it's approved use of the grant. So there'd be no county outlay. There's nothing connected to ARPA on this. It would be a new project. So we'd be going from paper to digital records in accounting. They're the only part of our operation that isn't digital. And so it makes sense for us to do that. It's not just changing paper into digital files, which has advantages with space and different things. Really, the benefit to these programs is the workflows that you can put together. So things that you do repetitively can be put into the workflow, and we gain efficiencies through using the digital records as opposed to chasing paper. So now we have digital stuff in each of our divisions, and we turn it into paper so that we can interact with the accounting division.
Does that have an annual maintenance down the road? then?
Yeah, that's 11,400. That would be something we would put into our budget on an annual basis. Just like there's an annual cost for the social services one, there's an annual cost for our economic assistance. Those are built into our budget as a regular expenditure for doing business.
So what would be the remaining funds after this that come in line?
I think there's about $20,000 left in the MA unwind. I'd have to get a final number from Heidi, but there's still dollars left. And actually there's more dollars left than we've used to date.
I think there's a timeline on this one, so I move to approve the use of the MA grant funds to update with casework.
Motion made by Commissioner Severson,
Being that there's grant money there and it's not gonna cost the county any, I think I'd go second.
seconded by Greg.
Just
Further
Question.
discussion?
the 11,400. This is replacing an existing program?
No,
This is a brand new program.
this is a new program. We'd be going from paper files to digital files.
Is there a savings by doing that?
I believe there's efficiencies. We've seen efficiencies in all of the digital programs we've done. It comes with different challenges with training and all of that, onboarding people. But typically you see efficiencies that you gain with having digital records and being able to have, again, workflows. So say I've got to sign this document, I can sign it and click send, and it goes and populates an inbox for the next person who needs to deal with it. And that's kind of a crude example, but there's a variety of different workflows we can put in place that help that.
The 11,400, is there any reimbursement from the state on that?
There would be some reimbursement on that based on what we'll do is we'll allocate that across each of the divisions because accounting doesn't generate revenue. So depending on the proportionate amount that you allocate to each of the different divisions, some receive higher reimbursement, some receive lower. So
And
some
by-
of that
by
would be
going
offset.
Digital, do we have to have specialized screens?
We
I
have
mean,
all
I mean, I know when I see your information, when it comes on sheets like this, if you put that on here, no way in heck I'm gonna be able to read it because it's, so we don't have to get new equipment for the ability. to
No,
read it.
because at our desktops, there's these docking stations, so you can take your small screen, plug it in, you get a full size keyboard. And typically we have two large screens, so that helps with spreading that stuff out. You're right, our stuff is a little hard on the eyes. It would be almost impossible on a little screen.
Too many pretty colors.
Yeah.
All right, motion's been made in the second. Is there any other further discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried.
All right, thank you.
That was the number of what? Number 12, consider reviewing and approving payments.
the bills.
It's
This one to Farner Asphalt Sealers, is this something separate from that big contract? Cause
I think,
we paid something up the top here, that's crack filling.
let me find what it says for the description.
Okay. Gets us up to date, I guess, that was the only question I had, it looked like it was a dupe, but apparently not. I will move to approve the bills as submitted.
motion to approve the bills by Commissioner Severson. There a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Burns. Any further questions or?
So just a question, I mean, this includes our Visa charge card payments and whatnot, correct? I mean, it's category, it's all lumped into the lower ones.
Because Visa isn't actually a vendor.
No,
Payments that we make to the people using our Visa card is actually the vendor. So that's why you don't see a big Visa payment. It shouldn't on there. But that's kind of the goal. Visa.
at least Visa was $6,733.
We'll have to start breaking. Who was actually paid by Visa.
I just see. There was just one in here that kind of,
Okay.
it was landscaper fabric and sprayer and dirt and whatnot, so we're doing some work on planters someplace. Mulch for planter boxes, ground supplies, landscape fabric, sprayer,
Yes, the
assume-
money left in the front is just. Helps.
courthouse, okay,
maintenance.
that's all I have.
Any other further discussion? Hearing none, motion was made and seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carry.
For the corner box. Says the crack bill. Fine, that's two, which is the final.
Mhm.
Discussion items, board updates, board chairman, not present.
Can I ask Carol a question before
Yeah.
we start that back up? On this sheet that you gave us with regard to the ARPA monies that's available. So the green was 22, the yellow 23. If I go up to the 22 and I see the sheriff radio replacement budgeted 63.5, spent 28,105. Are we anticipating having to spend the rest of that?
Check with him to see, that's the replacement rate.
Yeah.
Did the whole big project and that's replacing, and I'm not sure if we actually have purchased any this year that I just haven't added to the list, but I'll find out if we're actually going to spend that.
Okay,
And there too, we have that $50,000 for the Brook Crescent sidewalk improvement project.
Right.
I don't know if that's still moving.
I will check with them again next week. They are having difficulty with their engineer as far as getting the plan done, and then they will be working on grants, the last I heard. I will clarify that before work group next week.
sure. And then if I go down the line, the Selco 90,000, that's that 30,000 that we allocate to the city, the county libraries for 3 years. So
Or we have paid them 22.5, we paid them quarter. So
that's what the blue was asking what the 22.5, what the hell that, okay, I understand. Okay. And then all the other amounts is IT, the Splunk and the server for 8,800 and the IT. Is that all we have allocated for IT? I thought there was some bigger IT things.
there's the boardroom technology,
Yeah,
that's up above
but
40-30.
Mhm.
Was allocated, actually changed again, and
Yep.
since 2022, we've been working on that one. But it is going to be updated in October, that's why the work group session will be.
then the total of 170,898. That includes the full 63,500 for radio replacements having come out. Might be able to add back the 35,000 if we don't need to use it for the sheriff. That was my only question. Thank you.
Discussion items, board chairman's not here, so we'll move down to commissioner reports. Start with you, Dewey.
I had no meetings since the last time we had got together here, so got a couple coming up later this week and then next week, but nothing at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Burns.
I've had a few meetings. Last night I had the Hiawatha Valley Mental Health meetings. One was with regard to their financing and one was the general meeting. The big thing that they've got going on right now is the service calls when they have calls for mental health services. They're getting grants and dollars, and they're gonna set up so that there's gonna be teams that serve the 5-county southeast Minnesota region. So when there's a health emergency for mental health, these people are available to run 24/7 to assist PD typically. If there's an incident or involvement, or somebody calls in and is having a problem, the dispatcher can decide to send them out instead of the PD. But that's getting set up so that at the first of the year, that's gonna get started. So that's a good program that's been funded and gonna be taking place. I've got other meetings coming up. I mean, numerous meetings coming up as far as airport meeting and Bluff Country and SEMCAC, Selco in the next week and a half, so I'll report on those later. That's all I got.
Great. Got Minnesota Association of Township District One meeting tonight. On that once. That's here in Caledonia. We got land use and next week and County Fair coming up and National Night Out. I just brought all the different communities around Caledonia does it, Spring Grove, Houston, McCrescent does a big one, so you get a chance to pop in them, we'll plug for those.
Caledonia and La Crescent are tonight, Spring Grove tomorrow.
They do an opposite.
We got 1,200 brats ready to cook.
Over there.
McGrath.
I'm cooking tonight, so we wanna get sick, come on out.
Move on to you, Greg.
Oh, I guess I had a union meeting last week. Nothing there to talk about, and let's see. Got a airport meeting tomorrow. Outside of that, I guess. Gotta go to a Spring Grove Town Board meeting on Wednesday night. Don't know what that's about, we'll find out. Outside of that, not much going on.
And public closing comments.
I just wanted to have a little bit of a discussion. You know, we're transitioning here. There's been changes, there's been resignations, there's been, you know, hirings. And I think I will work with Eric. I put together, I'm looking at some possible outside firms for providing HR in the interim because we had Tess resign. There was no action to hire a replacement. There's not a big board meeting next week. There's a meeting the next week. It would probably be in our best interest if we are going to hire a replacement, to hire an outside firm to actually, do some of the screenings and stuff. It also depends on what the board now wants this position to do. Right now, there's contract management for the county attorney's office done by by Tess, which I doubt seriously that you would get another HR director that would have that same capability. That's going to be probably an additional cost if we can hire a firm to do that down the road, or if we are going to have to possibly add staff, which would probably be in the county attorney's office, would probably help those. So there's a lot of analysis that needs to be done, but on the short term, we need to have these things covered. So I'm going to work with Eric when he gets back to put some of this together for discussion at the work group session and to see if there are things that actually need to be approved at the next meeting, which most likely there will be. There's also talk, looking at possible hiring a firm to take a look at the offices, the job duties, are there duplications? Can things be consolidated? Can we move things around so we have more efficient use of staff? We've talked about it for years. It's been, well, I wonder if this one does that. So I have some names of companies also that do things like that. So we'll present next week at the work group session and expect some decisions by the county board the next week.
The curiosity, Carol. As the interim administrator, do you have authority? Does every little thing have to come before the board, or do you have the authority to make some decisions as far as personnel and whatnot? At least in the advertising end of it, that you can then bring and say, here's what we got for
I believe that's the intention
You're
of an
dragging
administrator.
everything out if it has to come to the board. As the administrator, you should have some authority, right?
Yeah, more for things like you approved on the consent agenda today would be more things that are handled there, but a department head would certainly be acted on by the board.
The hiring. Or does the board have to act on the advertising? Same thing with.
Since we're going to have changes in this one, particularly the HR director, I think the board has to approve what they're going to have this new person, the new employee do. Because like I said, there's going to be changes because you're not going to hire a person probably that has contract management. And our human services department contracts for contract management with Olmsted County, or they have a office that provides that for public health and human services. Would they also do it for the other portion? To have the contracts reviewed?
It only makes sense that we do something, because we don't have time to decide, advertise, wait, and then review and hire. We
In the
gotta
amount of
totally
time that we
do
have.
HR
Mhm.
right away.
So,
That's food for thought for next Tuesday.
yes, for the work group session and for some approvals in the next meeting.
And Allison, do I talk to you then, or do I talk to you about all the things that I want to talk about at the work group session?
You will give me a list.
Give you the list.
Mhm. You too? You too? You too?
Did we want to talk about those cars, or is that something for next week?
I guess the only thing I was gonna ask is from the car point of view, the replacement of the two cars. Does the board have any recommendations on where I should go to get price? I would like to stay in Houston County. Do I want to go to Apple Auto in Houston? Do I want to go to the auto place in Hoka? Do I want to go to the one in Crescent?
They're the biggest three or so that they got added for cars.
Sure.
Probably they'll buy a new car, but we get used ones out here. Well,
Oh, we've already bought- we've already bought two.
got the new one done. Good.
Lewiston Auto.
Okay, well, we've got, what we talked about was getting a fairly new program car that's got 20 to 30,000 miles on it. And another one that's 30 to 40,000 miles, so that we can get them into the sequence.
In a rotation?
The Jeeps are gone, so 31st.
We have until the 31st. I mean, I can schedule that they come get them on the 31st.
And that's fine.
So.
Can I go and get those prices? We're not gonna act on it until the 12th, but we'll have some numbers to deal with as far as.
I think we need to get some numbers, because we're ready, and we know that. The one in Boca is the largest, the most supply, and then Apple has about, between the two stores, have quite a few. I think those would be the ones that might give us more variety or choices.
Sure.
You know, otherwise there are some others around, of course, in spring.
SUVs, 4-wheel drive.
You might have to go out of county. with that. I mean,
Let me see what I can.
See what you can find. Yeah.
So I think we need prices to be prepared, because the end of the month will come quick. Believe it or not, the year's gone by fast.
I'm still thinking it's, March.
Yeah,
It's not.
do we need to do,
5 months.
do we need to do an RFP for insurance too? The time is legit.
That'll be a discussion.
And then a discussion on the workshop.
Worse.
It could be a busy day.
Okay. Thank you.
Any closing public comment? Anybody in the audience that I see on the screen, closing public comments? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
so.
Motion made and seconded, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thanks, everybody.